I find if you sort by loyalty, generally speaking, the people who would give you the highest political capital will be near to the top. So that would potentially mean the best bet might actually be Sam Herbert here, just because he likes foreign policy. He would give us a 2.0. Liberal motorists, actually, those are two pretty big factions. Let's go ahead and grab Sam here. Boom, done. For a welfare minister, so we'll do the same thing. We'll sort by this way. Who dis? Alexis Bell. Oh, yeah, his name is over there. He likes welfare, 2.2. Sympathies for parents, environmentalists. Not a great campaigner, unfortunately, which might bite us, a little bit later. We will see. Minister for Economy. So, Hayden Williams over here. I'm definitely going to want Evan Collins in a position. He's going to be great as a campaigning. He's going to help boost the Liberals and how much they like me, and there's a lot of Liberals here. Maybe I'll assign him to something first. Public Services, Transport, Welfare. Public Services over here. There we go, Evan Collins. Let me get him in position. Let me come back to Economy a second from now. For tax, for a Chancellor over here, what are we looking at? Eve Nelson likes the tax stuff. Environmentalist, Youth. Yeah, we'd have to go fairly down low to get someone with more campaign experience. So we'll grab her there. Law and Order. Make a sort by campaigning, but I need the political capital. So ideally, I would like someone with decent campaigning experience and decent points. We could go with oh, you actually don't have a preference for any of these positions. Okay, we'll go with Hayden Williams. I'm wondering about Liam here. It's only 0.1 less, but quite a bit better at campaigning. On the other hand, I guess the thing with Simone was the whole, motorist boost. Liberal motorist sounds like a big chunk of Canada. Yeah, I mean, it is, and it is. All right, let's get Simone. And then for a transport minister... I guess it's going to be Evan here. They've all got 1.8. He's the only one who's got a particular interest at it. I mean, I could go with Liam still because they are better at campaigning. I'm just a little worried that they might be less interested in this position. Isn't some things more about who you need to please? I thought it went both ways. Yeah, see, these voters will be pleased to see them in government, but the minister's loyalty will be affected by this group's happiness. So yeah, we do have to keep these groups happy, but they should also be a little happier. I'm going to go with Liam. Oh, Brenda? Brenda's a 1.7, not much lower. You're right. She's got the transport interest. We do have a lot of environmentalists. A little bit better campaigning. All right, everyone wants Brenda. Done and done. All right, so we've gone ahead and made a little bit of a swappy-do over here. And from now on, so now we'll get 18.34 political capital per turn. So it costs us 10. It's going to pay for itself in 5 turns. And generally speaking, I think it's going to be what we want to do. We only got 6 points left. We've got a lot of little meters we could choose. The other thing you can do is you can add more policies here. So they're categorized in different categories. We've got a search bar over here. The ones in red we can't afford currently. So if we want to ban people from having a second home, it would cost us 28 political capital. We only have 6. Different policies at different costs as well. So there's tons of different things available. Let's think about what we might want to tackle first. Junk food tax isn't a bad idea. Can we afford that? Oh, tax. Oh, we can. Okay, so that's not a terrible idea. The whole thing with the junk food tax, so we put a tax on junk food, and it does help to it improves health. It also lowers obesity, and if we can get obesity below the critical part, then our health is going to go a lot better, which is good. The downside of it is that it increases poverty, because the people who have the least money are going to be the most affected by this type of tax. Because if it costs, if it costs an extra $1 to get a Big Mac, and you're fairly wealthy, you're not even going to notice. But if you're poor, it's actually quite rough. I do like to pair the junk food tax with a health food subsidy. In fact, it might be better to do the health food subsidy first. This will cost us money, but it makes the health food cheaper. Again, helps with health, increases plant-based diets, lowers food prices, lowers obesity. So we'll do this first, and then we'll balance this out with the junk food tax to, hopefully make it okay. I think that's a pretty good idea, because I think the obesity problem is going to be pretty significant. We also have massive respiratory disease problems over here. We've got a lot of tobacco usage, and lots of car usage, and currently the status of our reforestation is not fantastic, so it all leads to pretty poor air quality. So we've got respiratory disease, which really upsets parents, but also brings down productivity, which hurts the GDP all over. Still, I think I'm happy to start with the health food subsidy. We're going to do that. Now, we can choose how much we're going to pay, how much money we're going to put into this. Normally, it costs you political capital to change this, but while we're implementing it, we can you can set it to any level that we might want. So at the bottommost level, just as a by the by, it still boosts health. It still increases plant-based diets, and it still helps to reduce obesity and lowers food prices, which is nice. At the maximum level, you can see that this, rises a fair bit. Now, the cost difference isn't that substantial. Like our budget right now is in billions, right? Like we're spending nearly 72 billion per quarter, per turn here. And this, even at maxed out, is 121 million, which isn't that much. Now, some of these things do take time to take effect. That's what the numbers over here mean. So food prices, it's got a 0 because it happens instantly. Instantly, food will be cheaper because we're subsidizing it. It will take 8 turns, before we get the full health benefit, 3 turns for the full plant-based diets benefit, 9 turns for the full obesity thing. I feel like we should just max this out. It's not that expensive. If we feel that this is a good policy, and I think we're right to say that it is a good policy, then why wouldn't we not, fund it to the maximum? You can see here our ministers having certain effects on all this. Cost is actually going up and the effects are going down. She's not fantastic. Actually, I don't feel like any of our ministers are stupendously good. But I might be comparing it to like Democracy 3, where you could easily get ministers that would give you 3, sometimes even 4 political capital each. And here we've got kind of a max of 2. It might just be a different balance in Democracy 4, or maybe we have crap ministers. I don't know. So I'm going to go ahead and apply those changes. I only have 3 political capital left. There may be some stuff we could still do. How about a tobacco awareness campaign, actually? It's dirt cheap. We need to bring tobacco usage down. I think this is a fantastic idea to kick in this. It takes a long time. It's going to take 12 turns to have its full effect. So let's start this right away. Support plant-based diets since pancakes are technically from plants. So we're going to apply that. All right, we're down to 1 political capital. There might technically be something we can do with this, but I think it's time for us to end our very first turn. Tobacco's a plant. That's true, although if people are eating tobacco, we might have a bit of a problem. All right, first turn. GDP's gone up, health has improved, education has improved just because of the flow of the world. Unemployment going down, crime going down, poverty going down. Wow, I'm really good at this game, you guys. We've got our first decision to make. Single-use plastic. Shock at the amount of plastic pollution in our water supply, our oceans, and even in the air we breathe has led to calls from our scientists to ban single-use plastics entirely to get the problem of plastic pollution under control. So we could A, ban single-use plastic. It's absolutely ridiculous that we allow companies to use plastic packaging that will be used only once, but will take maybe hundreds of years to break down, and even then may end up in our water supply. Other materials are available, and only government legislation will persuade companies to do the right thing and swap to more sustainable products. Or we could go B, allow single-use plastic. This sounds like an easy crowd-pleasing change, but the impact on industry would be massive. Like it or not, we have got used to the idea of cheap single-use plastic in many parts of our life. A ban would cause immense costs and regulatory hell for our small businesses and be an economic nightmare. Meanwhile, Ferengi companies will use them as normal. Ban or allow? Ban or allow? Not a surprise, Essential's opinion on this. I mean, the thing is, if we do ban it, it will actually, it'll bring down the GDP and productivity a little bit. It will be a thing that happens. On the other hand, the environment will be boosted, which then translates to better health, which means lower costs for healthcare and things like this. Which way is the right way to, maximize money and please people? I don't know. Most people in chat want to ban single-use plastic. We've got a bunch of hippy-dippies in the chat, so they have spoken. We are now banning it. Interestingly enough, the liberals don't like it. Now we're used to thinking that, well, liberals are environmentalists, right? But you got to detach that breakup, right, of that sort of left-right mentality. The pure liberal thing is just about personal individual freedom, and telling them not to use shitty plastic is technically against that. Fair enough. Capitalists don't like it. Environmentalists do. Now, we've got a situation imminent. Cyber warfare. Our data is showing that we will have a potential bad situation, cyber warfare on our hands if we do not act soon. This is my favorite addition to Democracy 4, which is it tells you when one of these situations is developing, so you can potentially stop it before it kicks in. Having a high GDP increases the chance of cyber warfare because rich countries, rich people are targeted by it more than anything else. We can counter this with military spending, with improved foreign relations, with intelligence services, and it's not showing here because I don't think we're running it. I don't know, but presumably wiretap laws and things. It did actually go down a tick last turn, but it could easily go up, and I'd rather not have it kick in. So let's keep that in mind. All right, I have 18 political power to spend this turn. So we do have wiretapping laws. Maybe I could scroll in there because I assume this would impact that. You know, if we're worried about, you know, the cyber hacking, that would be one thing. Although again, just keeping good foreign relations could potentially help to counter it. Unspent political capital does carry over from turn to turn. However, oh, it's interesting. It's blanked out here. In Democracy 3, and I suspect in Democracy 4 as well, if not now, then later, there usually is a maximum to how much you can bank. I like the idea still of running the junk food tax because taking a crack at this is going to be a big deal. It's already starting to go down. It may or may not be as a result of our policy. You see the health food subsidies here. You can see the light pink. That's how much it will, but the dark red here is how much it's actually gotten it. So I don't think our changes have done too much. It looks like we are running a food standards agency that hasn't quite trickled in yet. Compulsory food labeling is all in there as well, and it's still being worked on. These are policies that were in place before we started the game. Let's go ahead and get the junk food tax. So we are going to go ahead and implement this. And then we get to choose how much the tax is. Now, certainly, it's a tax, so it will make money for us. You can see at the maximum here, we can make almost 400 million a quarter. Now, whether it is correct to do that or not, I don't know. You can see maxed out here. It does boost health. The youth are immediately pissed off because, you know, they're not going to be able to buy their chocolate bars and their potato chips and whatnot. Their ketchup potato chips, of course. I was gonna say the best flavor in the world. I'm a big fan of prawn cocktail when I'm in the UK, and I kind of wish it was available here all the time. Prawn cocktail, pretty damn good flavor, but ketchup chips, probably my favorite anyway. So the Utes are upset about that, and you can see again, it does, you know, hurt poverty a little bit with the tax, but it does boost plant-based diets, which are great for the environment and lower the obesity. I don't see any reason, again, why we wouldn't just max this. Screw the youth! Prawn cocktail posse, what's up? Tax on chocolate. Dark chocolate is exempt. It's labeled as a necessity. Is a law I just made up. Yeah, let's max that. Okay. So those are some fairly significant changes that we're hoping will help crack obesity. We might be able to do some healthy eating campaigns and things as well. But let's, you know, let's maybe consider some other things. We've also got some pollution problems over here, as it turns out. And I mean, no one would be more aware of these issues, perhaps, than people in the town where I live. Big mining industry, massive acid rain producer. The solution they came up with in the 70s for all the pollution coming out of our mining industry was not to reduce the pollution, but to build a giant smokestack. At one time, I think it was like the tallest freestanding structure in a lot. I don't remember. There's stats. There's a world record for it. A giant smokestack so that all the pollution and smoke would go farther away. That's some big brain thinking there. Anyway, eliminating this would be a really big deal. And one of our big costs, and actually, there's this new way to filter these things. If we sort by finances here, so the size of these circles is how much money everything is. So the bigger the circle, the more it either makes or costs. And right now, a big source of our costs is actually old age pension funds, but we are spending a lot on healthcare. We go over here by expenditures, we can see state pensions, schools, oil drilling subsidies. These are big expenses. Military spending. I guess our health services are only over here, but you know, $5 billion is still a fair bit of money. If we could somehow get rid of some of that, just by having, less pollution and things, that would make a big difference. We can change this based on a bunch of different categories. Just weighted, it will try to make, the more relevant circles embiggened a little bit more. Kill the old off, free up money. I mean, it is the size of your retired group does affect certain costs. That is true. We have environmental protests active, and actually they're ticking up recently. And mostly they are embiggening because of the state of our environment over here. These protests are bringing down GDP. They're increasing traffic congestion because they're blocking, intersections and whatnot. And actually, the protests are increasing the number of people who are environmentalists because they're making that issue aware. I would like to eliminate environmentalist protests because we have such a good environment. Although there are other ways to crack down on protests as well. We also got this uncompetitive economy here. As a result, mostly I guess corporate taxes are one of the big things that are hurting that over here. Minimum wage laws, that sort of thing. We actually have pretty decent productivity, apparently. That's bringing down some of this uncompetitive economy penalty. Which is, I mean, more productivity is always quite nice for the economy. Right, those are the doctor strikes. We could tweak the labor laws to make that harder to strike, but I don't think that's the right move here. Let's see what we do about some of these things. Okay. Package the pollution, sell it to Americans, luxury good. Stop spending so much on healthcare, and the issue with older people will resolve itself. We might have a few other issues. I mean, we're obviously going to want to run that. That's not even a question. The only thing is, I think we mostly have to make sure that the economy, it doesn't collapse in on itself in our first few turns, and then we can do the things that are ethically correct. And these are very good for business. Business startup campaign is very inexpensive to run. Very inexpensive to run. It does encourage people to become self-employed, can boost the economy a fair bit, makes some people happy. Carbon capture and storage makes me think we're playing Fate of the World, which I kind of want to play again. I love city farms too. It's a great idea. Increases farmers' memberships and make the farmers pretty happy, and has other implications too. State Telecoms company could be interesting because it would hurt the telecoms industry, which we do have a bit of a problem with. Well, in the game here and also in real life, there's kind of some issues. Plastic bag taxes, I mean, good for the environment, upsets capitalists, and you got to remember, most of our population consider themselves to be capitalists. Upsetting them means we're not going to get reelected. We have to sort of slowly move things over. More environmentalist things could be something like this. Eye tests are actually good for like sort of health and things in general. I'm a big fan of public libraries. I mean, in real life and everything, they're sort of amazing. It boosts education. It also makes the retired people feel quite happy, and improves equality as a meter. Having high equality is good for all kinds of different relations. What's that about helicopter money? Was that one of the... Where was helicopter money? Was it under tax? Economy? Oh, right here. An unusual policy designed to boost the economy immediately, where the government effectively prints free money and hands it directly to citizens for them to spend. Hey, I've done this in Tropico! Normally the amount is fixed and can be withheld from those on high incomes. Like all money, printing it is inflationary. So yeah, this would lower our currency strength. We'd just be printing a bunch of money. I mean, in a certain sense, it's a lot like the COVID, funds that you can apply for, to get stuff. I think in Canada it's what, $1,200 a month that you get. What's it called? The CERB, COVID Emergency Relief. Maybe it's P for program, something like that. There was a news article that came out yesterday. 800,000 Canadians have voluntarily returned their COVID benefits. They realized afterwards that, like, oh, maybe I wasn't eligible, maybe I didn't need it, maybe, these sorts of things. But, Revenue Canada didn't go after them or anything like that. They just, voluntarily like, oh, you know what? Yeah, I wasn't supposed to have it. Because the way they implemented it, because it was an emergency, was, like, very much, listen, just put in your info and you're going to get it. We're going to sort out the details later. You put in your info, we're going to give you the money now. And later on, we'll go and sort out if you were actually eligible or not. So people applied for it, and then some people afterwards were like, I guess I want to actually be eligible, so I'll give it back. Like, ah! I mean, they were going to have to give it back, but it's nice that, you know, they didn't make the government chase them or anything like that. Anyway, helicopter money. It would be interesting. I like, you know, small business grants are good. Later on, robotics and stuff are quite interesting. I don't think that's where we want to go right now. I like public services. What about what can we do in law and order? Body cameras? I mean, perhaps. Right to die? Lowers healthcare demand. Oh my god, what were we talking about? Like, solving the healthcare problem? So conservatives and religious people don't like it very much. Huh. I think we're going to run it. I just don't know if we're going to do that now. Well, everyone wants it. Okay. All right. The people have spoken. Let's implement right to die. So we can have it only be in extreme circumstances. Multiple doctors have to agree. A single doctor has to agree. Family only has to agree. So you don't even need a doctor as long as the family agrees. Or at will, which would literally be, listen, if you make the decision yourself, you don't have to like, you know, have a conversation with other people. You don't have to get, you know, other people to agree. It's like a Futurama booth. That's exactly it. Oh my god, are we just making Futurama here? What's interesting is there's no cost to this policy. It's just a law. There's nothing, you know, there's not really any overhead in doing this in any way whatsoever. Interesting. So I think compassionate here, I think this is related to re-election stuff, right? Whether or not we're seen as being compassionate. By simply passing the right to die, but limiting it to having it be fairly restricted, right? In extreme circumstances, or, you know, you've got a fair number of doctors. You need medical people to agree. We'd be seen as compassionate. If we went all the way to the extreme of at will, it would actually make us seem uncompassionate. Because, you know, we don't consider life to be important or sacred enough or something. So this is an interesting one where, you know, bringing the slider up to the max doesn't just make it more so. Almost everything on here, yeah, everything on here becomes more so as you raise the max. But compassionate does flip a little bit. Hey! Enter Elysium with the raid. Thank you very much! Man, I gotta get this COVID shit dealt with so that we can hang out again, man. This is unacceptable. I don't like that it's personally affecting me. I'm wondering if, yeah, maybe we go with a bit of a balanced sort of single doctor over here. This would prevent us from at least seeming, like, discompassionate. Something like this. Still really upset the religious, but again, most Canadians do not consider themselves to be religious. There are a fair number of conservatives, actually not even that many hardcore conservatives, which is true. The Conservative Party of Canada does get a fair amount of seats in government, in fact, forms the government quite often, but it's mostly a side effect of the virtue that they are effectively the only right-wing party in Canada. In Canada, there are, depending on exactly how you sort of count it and consider it, there's at least 3 major parties, if not 5 major parties in Canada. There's the Conservatives, which are definitely right-wing. There's the Liberal Party, which is currently in power. And in terms of, again, it depends on how you compare it, right? Right to left. Some people would consider them to be a little bit like left to center. Some people would consider them right of center. Some people would consider them very left-wing. I don't know. There's the NDP, which are like sort of a more proper, just sort of left-wing party, you know, very pro-union, that kind of thing. There's the Green Party, which is a little fuzzy in where they actually stand on every single one of their policies, but environmentalism is at the core of their platform. So the Green Party is definitely out of the big 3, but still a major party. And then there's Bloc Québécois, which is a very kind of an oddball because they basically only run in Quebec and represent Quebec interests as a primary thing. There's certainly some overlap there in comparison to, say, maybe the SNP in the UK. Mm-hmm. Yeah, liberal. So the Liberal Party doesn't have they don't have an ideology exactly, right? And they do aim. They're often referred to as Canada's natural ruling party. Whether or not that's accurate or not, I don't know. But their idea is to mostly try to represent the kind of mood, the zeitgeist of Canadians, generally speaking. And so their policies can shift a little bit based on what sort of Canadians are saying. This is what we're caring about, this decade, this is the sort of stuff that's important. So like, okay, then we'll try to represent that.